Often, when I'm speaking about cash flow management, especially with small businesses or growing businesses, they start looking at their costs and they start cutting their costs. They think this is their biggest cost or unnecessary cost or could have been avoided or taken to a delayed state. So maybe they do that cost next year, but that is a quite blind-sided or one-sided approach. What we need to look at is the profit model, something more than just the outgoing costs. Look at the revenue model, look at the cost structure that you have, look at the margin model, and many times people forget resource velocity. I'll explain a little bit for each of them. The revenue model is effectively how cash is coming to you. What is the service or product being provided? Is it per product? Is it per hour? Is it per month? Time based, product based? How is the inventory behind it? And is it something that you do it once and repeat it, subscription based, freemium model, and so forth? There are a bunch of things just in the revenue model topic that you can think of. As a simple example, there are ways to start teaching business consulting to someone, or to create a productized course out of it, or to create a workshop out of it, which is a hybrid between a service and a product, so that people exactly know what they are getting at the end of the day, or to do it in a growing way where you visit that company every month or every 2 weeks, and slowly they understand what they are going to do. The founder understands that. There are many ways to approach this. Key thing is focus on one of them to start to accelerate. The cost structure is something that you have to look at very deeply on which are one-off costs and which are repeated costs. I normally say the most expensive car is the car that you don't use. But if you are spending something on a specific tool, specific asset, specific service, specific resource, specific person, if you are getting back revenue instead, you are definitely going to benefit out of it. And it's not a costly cost per se. You might be spending, let's say, 500 pounds on that specific thing, but in a month, in a 6 month period, or whatever is your target there, if you're getting back, let's say 1500 or 2000 as revenue from there, rethink that structure. Rethink, is it really you should hesitate on spending that 500? What is the certainty of getting the revenue back? Margin model. Now here, I'll give you a simple example because this again is a very wider topic. Could you have higher margin on less number of customers or less number of product lines and add it with a lower margin but confirmed revenue coming? How does that work? Let's say you have a service that can be both B2B and B2C, meaning you can, let's say, rent a car to a company and rent a car to an individual, or provide a workshop to a company and provide a workshop to an individual. Split the business where you provide a long-term contract with the company where anybody coming from that company gets a workshop for a lower fee, lower margin, but you have certainty of revenue for the next 3 years. On the other side, for the individuals, you could switch the pricing differently. The margin is higher, or they can do something in person and something online so that the cost is higher. One-off costs are there. However, you really don't need to spend as much workshops every week as much as you're doing with the B2B, which means that in some of the lines your margin is higher, in some of the lines this margin is lower, but you are getting more volume. At the beginning stage, you might want to chuck that idea completely and you say, I am only going to look at premium customers. For example, I was advising someone on a babysitting business, and they are focusing only on parents who go out on a Friday and their children go to private schools. And that was the focus and that was the balance. So higher margin came that pumped in cash to the business, which enabled to do everything else and even hire other people who can do the lower margin side of things if that is suitable to your business. I'm not saying there is a formula behind it. However, there is a structure behind it that you need to think about. And then comes the resource velocity. How quickly are you using up your assets? How quickly are you going to reorder the assets needed? If it is a service business, whether it is material based service or uh, a soft service like a coaching, consulting, speaking, software, and so forth, how quickly do you have to retrain or recertify yourself, and is there a cost to that? Do you have to be part of membership of certain organizations? And how is the journey in that particular timeline between the cost and revenue drivers? Is it taking the cash flow down? Is it taking the cash flow up? Is it steady? When you look at all of this, you can manage cash flow way better, like a dashboard on a car. You just watch that and you know that there are 4 or 5 things that you can change instead of just trying to cut down your cost, because that may not be a long-term idea. For more such explanations, for more such frameworks, and more details on each of these topics, just join our free demos. Just look at our website for free resources and keep growing.